Yo, what's up, Serpa Squad? Tanner here, and I'm back with another DIY project. For a while now, my wife has been asking me to make a tabletop fountain for her. I've done similar projects before, but nothing like what she described. I finally decided to take the challenge. I went through my materials to see what I can make, and I think I came up with a cool idea. Let's get to work. To make this happen, I have a few items. I need a base platform that can hold water. For that, I have an old bone side dish that was never used. I also have an acrylic organizer tray for the fountain compartment. I'll attach these together with super glue gel. I set the tray in the bone side dish and marked for where to apply the glue. I put dabs throughout this area and pressed the tray in place. While the glue dried, I went on to cut out a few pieces of acrylic. I put up a guide and scored a line with a few passes. After that, the pieces can be snapped apart. I did this until I ended up with several pieces. These will be used to make overflow compartments. Here's the layout that I'm going for. I want 4 overflow trays that spill out into the main compartment. I began with the pieces at the top. I made a few measurements on the back to center the overflow. I ran glue along this line and put the pieces together accordingly. When the top and bottom pieces were secure, I added the side pieces. I repeated this process for the remaining compartments. Once the pieces were together, I let things sit for a little while and tested it with water. It ran pretty well and looks awesome with these little LED lights. These are pretty neat and they're waterproof. They came with a remote that allows you to adjust the colors and brightness. Everything held water fine as is, but I went on to add silicone around the cracks. This won't add any structural stability, it's simply being used to ensure everything holds water. Obviously, we won't leave the structure like this. We'll cover everything up with slate stones. I found these slate tiles at a home improvement store for just a few dollars a box. They won't work as is, so I broke them up into smaller pieces. I covered the surfaces with silicone and pressed the stones into it. I worked from the top to the bottom. This is a really tedious process, but it creates a cool look. In doing so, I made sure the horizontal direction is consistent throughout. After completing the front, I went on to silicone full tiles to the sides. I let those set up, and then I marked the top of the container. I used a step drill bit to remove this area. I also drilled a hole in the back for the pump's hose. From there, I put 2 lights in the top as well as a plumbing piece in the back hole. I attached a vinyl hose to this. Lastly, I glued a thin piece of acrylic over the top opening. I concealed all of this with silicone and stones like before. You'll notice that even after all of that, there's light coming through the cracks. I'll use super glue and stone dust to hide most of these. To make the dust, I did what you probably expected. I smashed a few stones with a hammer. I've shown this technique in other videos, but I'll explain again for those who haven't seen it. I simply apply some glue and sprinkle on the dust. I brush off the excess to reveal a seamless look. The end result is an awesome stacked slate structure. I think it turned out really well. Prior to adding the water, I put the lights in their respective locations. I also drilled a few holes near the bottom of the acrylic bin. This will help water more readily flow to the back of the dish, which is where the small submersible pump will go. I cut the vinyl tube and attached it to the pump. To keep things clean, I decided to glue a conduit clamp to the back of the acrylic. With the mechanics addressed, I went on to add some gray gravel. It matches very well with the slate, which will keep a consistent look. I filled in the back area first. Then I added it to the overflow compartments. Last was the front area of the basin. I added just enough to hide the bottom of the container and the sides of the acrylic. After that, I decided to do a test run. It worked pretty well and looks awesome when the lights are on. I'll leave them on for the remainder of the build so I have a better idea of where to put the plants. As you probably expected, I can't do a build like this without moss. What I have available is thread moss and hypno moss. I've been using both with great success on projects similar to this, including the self-watering moss wall. I pressed moss into all of the appropriate locations. I also used it to control how the water flows through the setup. My vision was to have the water cascade down the face of the rocks as much as possible. I don't really want water pouring out like before, and the moss allowed me to get the look I wanted. It wasn't part of my original idea, but I decided that driftwood could take this design to the next level. I needed something small, and luckily I had a few scrap branches of dragonroot that would work perfectly. I intertwined them throughout the rock structure. I also wrapped one around the outside to add dimension. I think they really helped bring the scape together and complement the slate. Now I can finish off the scape with the remaining plants. I have a few Cryptanthus nubicula, pennywort, and the old standby oakleaf creeping fig. I planted the creeping fig within the moss covered areas. This will keep their roots wet while they establish in their new environment. Per usual, this plant is like the icing on the cake. It ties it all together. I added a few sections of pennywort to the basin. Lastly, I worked in the Cryptanthus as an accent to the rest of the design. Introducing the stacked slate tabletop waterfall fountain. This piece turned out even better than I could have imagined. I think it really has a lot of depth, texture, and interest that's easy on the eyes. The lights really help add a cool vibe as well. The hard edges of the stone almost give the sense that this is a man-made structure that has been overtaken by nature. The only thing I'm not crazy about is the bone side dish. I definitely could have done something to make it look nicer, but I was already too far into the build before I considered anything. I'll get it covered in some crackle paint when I have a chance. I think that would be my best option unless you have a better idea. Also, apparently this isn't even remotely close to what my wife envisioned. I guess I have to make another one in the future and keep this one for myself. Something else worth mentioning is that when the batteries in the top lights die, I won't be able to replace them. It was an oversight on my part that I didn't realize until I was halfway through drilling the hole in the top. I decided to put the lights in anyway since I went through the trouble. Luckily, I don't think they add much to the design, so it doesn't matter. In the end, I think I came up with something that looks awesome. I like all of my work, but every now and again I create a thing that really blows away my expectations. The truth is that I don't even know how I come up with this stuff half the time. I just go on autopilot and let the art direct my hands to make itself. That might sound weird, but I don't know how else to describe the process. Maybe I'll explain more about it in the future. Anyway, that's all for now. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to help me out by giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't already, I'd greatly appreciate it. It all goes a long way to help me continue to make content like this. As always, Serpa Squad, I hope you all enjoyed the video, learned something new, and are inspired to make some art of your own. Until next time, take care and peace.